judgment surrounding me. I sit and ponder, question and wonder who from my past has been haunting me. Try to open my eyes, but I keep seeing two of me. Type and delete all my feelings on Reddit. It's 5 in the morning and
Alright y'all, it is time for another video. This one is not directly F1 related. I'm going to be talking about the F1 esports and the whole cheating kerfuffle that's going on there. I'm going to be talking about this iRacing Daytona 24 quote-unquote scandal that's happened because, well, two different people with different philosophies have come together and clashed on the topic. So F1 esports cheating, what's going on there? F1 esports is having a bit of a difficult time in terms of catching cheaters or even proving that people are cheating. Right? Who are the names that are involved in this? You've got Thomas Ronha and you've got Alvaro Carreton. Now Alvaro Carreton, excuse me for mispronunciations on his name, but Alvaro over here, he was streaming himself playing F1. Alvaro is an F1 esports driver, right? He was filming himself, well, streaming. He was streaming his gameplay, and he uses screen capture. You know, I don't know. The streaming has existed for so long. Do people not know yet to just not use the screen capture? But anyway, he was using the screen capture, and his F1 mod pack got leaked. Now he's come out with a statement, questionable statement, saying that he's working with the EA/Codemasters, the developers of the game, to get data on, well, how the F1 mods, the F1 grip hack mods, and all of that, how those work. What exactly do they change in a driver's performance? That's all alleged because Codemasters is not confirming that. But he's not even, he's not the guy who's being accused of cheating in the F1 esports scene. That's actually Thomas Ronha. It's funny enough, at the moment, Alvaro Carreton actually has the evidence for cheating. But he's the one, but he's not being accused. He's a fan favorite, right? So no one actually wants to accuse him of cheating. And that aside, he's not one of the top drivers on the grid, so yeah, people are just gonna sweep that one away. Here's the problem with this whole F1 esports cheating situation, right? The number one problem is that EA Codemasters, they're the ones who have to develop an anti-cheat for the game. And you know, I'm seeing a lot of the F1 esports drivers, Jarno Opmeer in particular, I'm seeing a lot of these guys catching feelings because they think Thomas Ronha is cheating. I'm not concerned with whether he is or is not cheating, right? That's not my concern. My concern is that this conversation shouldn't even be happening right now because the developers should have a robust enough anti-cheat system in their game that would stop this. If you are running an esport, right, and this esport has like real F1 teams involved in it. If you're running an esport and you've got all these moneyed teams, moneyed people, and there's huge cash prizes involved, and there's money in all directions, right? F1, you release an F1 game nowadays, it's going to be like one of the best-selling games of the year, probably in the top 20. So seeing as EA and Codemasters are getting that much money to roll around in, the onus is now on you to actually make an actual anti-cheat for the game. And it's really out of pocket for the likes of Jarno Opmeer or whoever to be accusing Thomas Ronha of cheating. Is really out of pocket. If the cheating mattered so much to these guys, then listen guys, here's what you do. Boycott a race. All the people, all the fans who are watching this F1 esports thing, they're coming for the drivers. No one gives a fuck about who's contracted to which team or what have you. They're there for the drivers. The drivers are the ones that carry the whole F1 esports thing. It's the players in general who carry esports. It's not the teams, right? When you go to League of Legends, no one particularly gives a fuck, unless you're Korean, I suppose. But no one particularly gives a fuck about SK Telecom or you go to China, Top Esports, what have you. No one gives a fuck about the specific teams. Everyone is there to see the players in action, the players that they love in action. Faker, Knights. I ain't been keeping up with the league scene for a while, but everyone's there for the top players. Just like the same in esports, in the F1 esports, everyone is there to see the top players of the game do their thing. So if you're really serious about catching such feelings about suspecting Thomas Runha of cheating, then get in touch with all your friends on the grid and boycott the next race. Boycott it. And y'all gonna have to stand firm, because if your team say, oh, we're not gonna pay you for that race, then cool. You gotta stand firm on principle. The money shouldn't matter. Right? If the money matters, then if the money matters enough for people to not boycott a race and risk their contracts, because you are the value of the whole operation right now, right? If I'm speaking to Yana Opmir right now, you are the value of the whole operation. So they're not gonna ban you from the league or what have you. But now you're gonna have to make a stand and actually boycott a race and insist that Codemasters get a working anti-cheat before you go into the next race. And really, this whole situation is on Codemasters, right? If Codemasters do not have the programming talent in-house to actually make an anti-cheat, then guess what? You're gonna have to do what all the other esports did and actually hire the people who are making the cheats, making the mods, to actually come in and make an anti-cheat. Right? Everyone's done it. League of Legends has done it. Counter-Strike Global Offensive, CSGO has done it. Everyone has done it. Everyone who's really serious about this thing has done it. And, you know, in some instances like League of Legends, they didn't even have to do it to legitimize the competitive circuit, right? They just did it to legitimize the ranked ladder that exists on all the servers, right? Because it doesn't help anyone if some 20% of the top players on every server are scripting or cheating or what have you. That doesn't help anyone, right? And Riot Games, they know this well enough, so they said, okay, there's some pretty talented scripters out there. They put out an advert, you know, if you have worked on X or Y script, come here, we've got a job for you. And that's how it always goes in esports. If you're serious about anti-cheat, that's how it always goes. CSGO, they've got a whole system. They've got a whole system over there. Works in tandem with Steam. All right, and you get VAC banned, right? If you're found to be cheating, and the system is very good at finding cheaters. If you're found to be cheating, then you get VAC banned, and that mark stays on your Steam account, right? Never mind your accounts in the game. Stays on your Steam account forever. You have to go get a whole new Steam account, buy the game brand new to actually get it removed. Right? So if Codemasters are serious at any point about this esports thing, then guess what? You're gonna have to hire the people who are actually making the cheats to make an anti-cheat. Failing that, it's really misplaced for anyone to be accusing X or Y driver of cheating. It's just misplaced. You can't be looking at the driver. You have to be looking at the developer. If you're not looking at the developer, then I don't know. You're probably just jealous, right? And Thomas Runha, he's a youngin. He's like 18 or something. He's still at the peak of his creative powers. He's a youngin. So if he comes in and he's figured out something new for the game that, well, all these veteran players just can't see because they're too entrenched in the game, well then, that's his to own. That's his to own. It's really misplaced to be saying, oh, you have to show us what you're doing or whatever. He doesn't have to show you anything. He doesn't have to show you anything because that's his competitive edge, especially if it's all above board what he's doing, then that's his competitive edge. If he's playing around with the tire pressures or suspension setups or what have you, ride heights or whatever setup options you have in these F1 games nowadays, and he's figured out something there, well, then all credit to him. It's really misplaced, it's really out of pocket for people to be just claiming that he's cheating. It's really out of pocket. And it's funny, I mentioned this Alvaro Carreton at the start of this thing. Alright, you've got hard evidence on him cheating, but no one's going to say that he's cheating. Alright, you've got evidence on Alvaro with the mods. That came up on his stream. You've got that evidence. But no one who's accusing Thomas Ronhar of cheating is going to say Alvaro is cheating. Right, and likewise, if Alvaro's story is real about, oh, he's working with Codemasters to get them data or what have you, and there's a few drivers who are doing that, then, well, that's just a terrible look for Codemasters. It's a terrible look. That's like the worst. If what he said there was actually real, then that's the worst look for Codemasters possible. The worst look. That's just telling me that they're beyond incompetence over there. And I suppose EA's incompetence might have rubbed off on them for all I know. But if you're actually getting the drivers to test this thing during events, go run the grip hack mod and, well, get us some data. If that's what they're really doing, then I'm sorry, it's a joke of a developer. Right? You shouldn't be running no esports anything. You shouldn't be running no esports anything, no championship, none of that. If that's how you're actually going to approach finding out whether someone is cheating in your game or not. Right? Whether or not Thomas Ronhar is cheating, it's irrelevant. The developers, it's on the developers to make an anti-cheat. There's too much money in that ecosystem to not make an anti-cheat. There's far too much. And there's incentive to cheat because, well, the prize money is off the charts. Right? And the grip hacks, it doesn't have to be a big grip hack. You're talking about like a 1% or even a 0.1% increase to a pro driver's grip. And, well, they'll probably make magic with that. But if you can't make an anti-cheat system that will read one of the drivers is running mods and then just kick them out of the session, if you can't make that, then you really shouldn't be running F1 esport. Right? You're well out of your lane to be running an F1 esport if you can't make an anti-cheat tool that just detects whether someone is running a mod or not. And there's some other suggestions of moving the whole thing to console. You must be on console to enter the event. I mean, you could run that, but then there's like legitimate PC players who are going to be barred from even getting a shot at F1 esports. All right, so it's just distasteful to me to be seeing people like accusing some young driver, whether he is cheating or not. It's just distasteful for me to be seeing people accusing young driver of cheating. He might just have found something out about the game that no one else knows at the end of the day. So really, if Jarno Opmeer or whoever, all the drivers who have been making film with Thomas Ronhar, if all these guys are going to accuse Ronhar of cheating, then all that energy that you're putting on Ronhar, you have to direct that to Codemasters and EA. If you fail to direct it to Codemasters and EA, then, well, I don't even believe your claim that he's cheating at that point. Right? I really don't believe your claim. Boycott an event. Boycott it. Watch how quick Codemasters and EA move to get an anti-cheat working if you boycott an event. Right? If the whole grid boycotts an event and Thomas Ronhar is the only one on the grid, well, that will send shockwaves through the whole industry. They'll get that anti-cheat done that same week. That same week. But if you're not going to direct any energy at Codemasters and EA, and you got all the hate and vitriol for Thomas Ronhar, I'm not taking you seriously. I'm just not, and that's the bottom line. But anyway, on to the next cheating scandal. This one's a soft cheat, it's not a mod cheat. But then there's this iRacing Daytona 24 situation that's happened with Williams Esports and Alexander Spets. And there's probably another situation that's happened, since or before, that's also been reported. What happened in this iRacing Daytona 24 event, right? What happened was Alexander Spets set a qualifying time by driving on the apron of the Daytona 24 circuit. What's the apron of the road? Because it's an oval circuit, right? So anyone who's seen an oval circuit, there's the white line at the bottom of the circuit, and then there's the apron, the tarmac that's at the bottom of the circuit, and it's flat over there. The rest of after the white line, the tarmac is cambered. Alright, so Spets, he set a qualifying time and he got pole for this event by going onto the apron of the track. And I mean, it's all good to have it in the printed rules for the event that, you can't use that part of the circuit. But here's the problem. It's probably a major problem for sim racing esports to actually tackle, right? It's probably a major problem for them to tackle, and that is that the gamer and the sim racer are not going to run the same rules in the game, right? The sim racer, whether the game is going to actually penalize them for breaking the rules of the sport as they exist out here in the real world, right? The sim racer is going to play by those rules regardless of whether the game actually implements them. The gamer is out here to speedrun the events. Maybe you've seen or you've not seen speedrunners, but speedrunners, what they're here to do is they break the game. They try to break all the rules presented by the game in order to finish it as fast as possible. Right, and what's this esports thing in general? What is this esports sim racing thing in general? It's a speed run. It is a speed run. So when you get a gamer into an esports event and they're not a sim racer, they are a gamer. Right? When you get a gamer into an esports event, they are not going to respect the rules of the game as they exist outside the game. The game itself will have to punish the gamer for breaking a rule. So if Alexander Spets drives on the apron of the Daytona 24 circuit to cut track distance, right? If he does that, then it's the game itself that has to punish him. There's no point putting it in a printed rule book because, the game is not actually going to act that way. The game is not going to act that way. And the gamer will only bend to the rules presented by the game. The sim racer will bend to rules presented by the sport as it exists out here in the real world. Don't cut corners, okay? The sim racer won't cut corners. Don't speed in the pit lane, okay? The sim racer won't speed in the pit. Even if you took away a punishment that the game hands out for doing those, you cut a corner, you get a 5-second penalty or what have you. Even if you took that away, the sim racer is still going to play the game as though they exist. The gamer is not. The gamer is just not. So when this whole iRacing Daytona 24 situation happened, my first thought is, just like the F1 esports situation, my first thought is the developers have dropped the ball. How long has iRacing been out? Too long. It's been out too long. It's been in development as well for all that time. Right? So it's in constant development. Games are never finished nowadays. You never get a finished product. The game is always in development. So you're patching the game, every month or what have you? You're patching the game, or every 6 months, whatever it is. The game is always being patched. There are always updates, and ergo, you have no excuse for some hole in the game existing like that. Like, drivers can drive on the apron of the Daytona 24 circuit and not pick up punishments. You have no excuse for that. That's on the developers again. If you can't program that into your game, then well, you're probably gonna have to put a hard barrier there to stop gamers from exploiting the game. And while failing to do that, you might as well run the event like that, wholesale. Everyone gets to cut down onto the apron. You might as well just run the event like that. If you can't program that into the game, then you might as well retire the circuit even. Now that circuit will not be on the esports calendar. And that's just the way it has to be. Because, you know, it's well out of pocket here to be trying to blame Spets for playing the game. It's well out of pocket. The sim racer is going to blame him because the sim racer just is sim racing. Right? The gamer is not sim racing, he's playing the game. And so it's the game itself that has to police the gamer. The sim racer is self-policing. And if you're opening up this whole esports thing, right, then you have to actually account for this. Because it's not always going to be the sim racer that gets the esports seat. Right? There are some people out here who are just freaks of nature and they're good at every single video game that they touch. It's going to be those people that get the esports seat. And there's a reason that those people are good at every single game they touch, because they exploit the rules of the game. You see, the game presents them rules, and then they'll put 1 and 2 together within the game, combine this and that mechanic, and well, I can break that rule that the game set for me. That's how the gamer works. The sim racer does not work that way. And esports, the whole sim racing esports, needs to come to grips with that. I mean, Button chimed in on this situation saying that the lap time should have just been deleted instead of the driver being banned from some future events. He's got like a 3-month ban or whatever. It's not a permanent ban. But you know what? I actually agree with Button on that one. Right? You should have just invalidated the lap time. There's no real reason to ban the driver wholesale. Right? Even if it was printed in the rules for the weekend or for the event, if the circuit can't implement those rules, this is not real life. This is a video game out here. Right? In real life, it's a different thing, because we've built all these games, your sports are all games. We've built all these games on rules that have to be followed, and there's always a referee present to actually implement those rules. Well, unless it's Abu Dhabi 2021, this is the whole difference. It's a whole different situation. But anyway, so yeah, iRacing, you got to be better. Codemasters, you got to be better. I don't need this crap in my feed. I really don't. Because at some point, you just have to make a better game. That's the bottom line. Right? Anyone talking about Thomas Ranha and, oh, he must be cheating, point your fingers at Codemasters and EA. Don't be pointing fingers at Thomas Ranha. Get them to put the anti-cheat in the game. If he falls off, then guess what? You can say, oh, I told you so. Right? It would be that easy. It would be that easy. But instead, everyone wants to focus on Thomas Ranha. Instead, everyone wants to focus on Alexander Spets. No one wants to focus on Karaton for whatever reason. But if you're going to focus on the individuals, you're never going to fix the fundamental problem. And that's just the way it goes. Right? So look at your game developers rather than looking at the players. Don't even give yourself the esports title if you can't make the game self-policing. Don't even do that. Don't even do that. You know, someone activates a map hack in CSGO, it's an instant ban. Oh look, you're VAC banned now. Someone starts scripting on League of Legends, I mean, they might be able to finish that game, but by the time they're in the post-game lobby, the account's banned. Someone turns on the script in Valorant, well, they get banned instantly. The game gets stopped and they just get banned straight away. But anyway, that should be the vid. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, peace.
Hell breezy. Let me show you how to keep the dice rolling when you're doing that thing over there, homie. Hey, let's go! Cause I'm feeling like I'm running and I'm feeling like I gotta get away. Better know that I don't and I won't ever stop. Cause you know I gotta win every day. Go! See, you really wanna pop me. Go! Just know that you will never flop me. And I know that I gotta be a little cocky. Go! You ain't never gonna stop me. Every time I come, a nigga gotta set it, then I gotta go, and then I gotta get it, then I gotta blow, and then I gotta shut it. Any little thing a nigga think that he be doing, cause it doesn't matter, cause I'm gonna dead it. Then I'm gonna murder everything and anything about it. Boom, about a bing. I gotta do a lot of things to make it clearer to a couple niggas that I always win, and then I gotta get it again and again and again. And I be doing it to death, and now I move a little foul. Nigga better call a rap, and everybody know my style. Niggas know that I'm the best when it comes to doing this, and I be banging on my chest, and I'm banging in the east, and I'm banging in the west, and I come give you more, and I will never give you less. You will hear it in the street, and you can read it in the press. Do you really wanna know what's next? Let's go. See the way we on it, and we all up in the race, and you know we gotta go, not try to keep up with the pace, and we struggling and hustling and set it and get it in